Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Bible study. Today we are going to study from Jeremiah. Jeremiah is a prophet sent to the nations, and we are going to study a little bit about him. So we go on Jeremiah 1 4 12 and Jeremiah 21 verse 11. Let's dive in. So, first, in first chapter, I just got the part from to, I guess it's from to 10 is more important, but I added verses 11 and 12. So the call of Jeremiah. The word of the Lord came to me. Well, Jeremiah is talking. As the word of the Lord came to me, saying, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." Wow, this is big. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. All right, so let's go back. The word of the Lord came to Jeremiah, saying, "Before I formed you, before even he was born, God knew him." So, what the Bible is telling us, this is huge. It tells us that before we come on the earth, God knows us. And he knows you'll be a prophet, you'll be an apostle, you'll be those are part is a part of our destiny, like who we are going to be on this earth. So sometimes we don't know, sometimes we are like blind people going like back and forth. We don't know who we are and what we are doing on this earth. God knows. It is hard when you come like from that stage knowing God, being in the presence of God, and send you down, and then before even you're formed, God knows who you're going to become. Some people, they do miss their destiny because they don't know, they don't hear their call, they have no idea. But Jeremiah knew, because he tells all this story. He says the word of the Lord came to me, saying, tells him that he knew he's going to be a prophet, so there's no turnaround. And he appointed him as a prophet to the nations, not to the people of Israel only, to the nations, the nations. Okay? So it's kind of scary when you are, when all of a sudden God talks to you and says you're going to be a prophet. It is some for some people it can be very scary. Let's go verse 6. Now, this is Jeremiah talks to God. Allah's sovereign Lord, I said, I do not know how to speak. I am too young. So, because when you're a prophet, you have to know how to speak to people. And he's concerned about that part, how to speak. He thinks he's too young. He might be young. I don't know how old he was, Jeremiah, when he became a prophet, when he was called to be a prophet. But God was telling him that even before he born, God knew him and he assigned him to be a prophet for the nations. So don't you see that it's when God has for us and discover our destiny or something to do for him, we'll say we disqualify ourselves. He said, I don't know how to speak. I'm too young. Other people says, how am I going to go? I'm too old. The other one will say, like Moses say, my speech is, it's not right. And how am I going to talk to Pharaoh like that? He will laugh about me. He will not listen to me. Or, God doesn't care about those things. He knows that you will deliver the message regardless. Sometimes we worry about ourselves. God doesn't worry about those things. If you are maybe like 5 years old and God tells you that you'll be a prophet, you will be a prophet. Unless you turn things around and you don't want to be going that direction. Too young, we always put something in front of us that we disqualify ourselves. Even God is qualifying us to go and do these things or do that for God. We think that we are not good enough. Nobody asked us to be perfect, because the only perfect is Jesus, who walked on this earth. We are not perfect. God doesn't ask you for that. Hey, you got to become a perfect person before I send you there and there. No, he does not. And now look what God is answer. But the Lord said to me, do not say, I am too young. You must go to everyone I send you to and say whatever I command you. So do not disqualify yourself, because as soon as you disqualify yourself, you say those words, you start believing in those. You say, if you say like you don't know how to speak and you're too young, how am I going to speak to so many nations? I'm too young. Who's going to listen to me? You already disqualify yourself. And not just that, the enemy grasps on that and cares and make sure you are disqualified completely. So you should not to put yourself above everybody else and have pride. God wants you to say, sure, whenever you have for me, I'm going. Whenever you have for me, it's going to happen. I'm going to talk to anybody you send me to. And verse 8, do not be afraid of them, because there'll be people that they come after you. Whenever God tells you to say, it might not be in their favor. And maybe it was fear concerning all this to Jeremiah. Do not be afraid of them, for I'm with you and I will rescue you, declares the Lord. Okay? So God tells you not to be afraid. If there's something that he makes you to do, or he's asking you to do not be afraid. Because what it says, for I'm with you and I will rescue you. If he sends you somewhere to do something, he definitely will rescue you. You don't have to worry about that part. You just do what God asks you to do, and the rest is in his hands. He will rescue it and takes you back. All right, let's move next. Verse 9. Then the Lord reached out his hand and touched my mouth and said to me, I have put my words in your mouth. See, today I appoint you over nations and kingdoms, to uproot and tear down, to destroy and overthrow, to build and plant. Wow. Because a prophet will, so God puts the words into Jeremiah's mouth, what he has to say. He touched his mouth and put all the words that he has to say. And not just that, he appoints to go to the nations and kingdoms to uproot, wow, and tear down. Because with the words, you can uproot and tear down kingdoms. And it says, you king, tomorrow your kingdom is taken away. And that's uproot and tear down. To destroy and overthrow, to say that tomorrow your kingdom is taken away from you. Or whenever it's destroyed, the enemy is coming and you will be in the hands of the enemy. Whenever. But then it's also to build and plant, to build them up. God is with you. God, hear the word of the Lord. God is with you. Do not fear. Then you build people up, or plant. To plant, you tomorrow you'll be a king of Israel, for example. I'm just saying what it would be like, build and plant. There will be another kingdom will be planted, or another king. Let's go. Yeah, so it's a preordained purpose, and we have, all of us, we have a preordained purpose. You don't know what's your purpose, because all of us, we have a preordained purpose. God knows us deeply and has designed us for a reason before we even take our first breath, to come into, before we breathe the first time. God has a preordained purpose. It's a calling despite the fear. Despite the fear, God calls you to do certain things. And Jeremiah felt inadequate. I do not know how to speak. I'm too young. Verse 6. We just talked about that. But God reassured him and promised to be with him. He's going to do with us the same thing. As we had Jeremiah as an example. Jeremiah was called, his calling, to be a prophet. And not just that, you see, like what it says, to tear down and like kingdoms and all that. Like, wow. And then maybe he might be like, I don't know how young he was, but to go and talk to people like that, it's scary. It is scary. But God reassured that he's going to be with him, and he's going to be with us. Whenever we have to do for God, God is going to be with us. God keeps the called. So if you have a call on your life, in verse 9, God touches Jeremiah's mouth and puts his words there. You don't have to come equipped. God equips you with what you need. God is going to give it to you whenever you need. God, it puts you through training. It trains you. It trains you how to speak, what to say, how to do. In this time, for Jeremiah, God puts the words in Jeremiah's mouth. For others, touch the lips, gets them clean. For others, is like different. Give somebody else with them that they can go and talk to, for example, Moses, to talk to Pharaoh. He equips you, he gives you what you need, who you need around you to fulfill what your call is. Let's move on. I put these two because I want you to see that he's called as a prophet, and God is testing him and see if he can see um, what like he wants to see. He wants Jeremiah to see in the spirit. So verse 11, the word of the Lord came to me. What do you see, Jeremiah? So God is asking Jeremiah what he sees in the spirit. I see the branch of an almond tree, I replied. The Lord said to me, you have seen correctly, for I'm watching to see that my word is fulfilled. The branch of the almond tree is pretty much, I believe, is the people of Israel, and that's is significant. And this is a branch of almond tree, just for your, for curiosity, how it looks like. But so God will tell him exactly. So it's not just a prophet, is a seer prophet. They're two different things. So the prophet could be a seer prophet, or just a prophet maybe hears the word of the Lord for certain nations or for certain people, not necessarily seeing things. Usually they hear from the Lord. Lord downloads for them what he needs to speak to certain people or nations. But Jeremiah, he is to be a seer prophet because God is telling him, it's challenging him to see in the spirit. What do you see, Jeremiah? And then Jeremiah is looking in the spirit to see what is there, and he sees the branch of almond tree. And says, you have seen correctly. It's like he's in his class now. It's, yes, you see correctly exactly what it is in the spirit. So it's training him a little bit before it sends him out. It puts him in the class. It's more like even in the spirit to train him, like if he sees correctly or not, and God will talk to him through the visions that he sees and then tells to the nations. Sometimes I say, even though it's a seer prophet, may not see all the time, may hear the words of the Lord, but if you are dual, it's more by seeing. Now we go in Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. I like it because um, God is telling Jeremiah, I have the plan, I know the plans I have for you. God knows the plans for all of us, not for Jeremiah. This is for all of us. He knows all the plans he has for us. All the plans. He knows them all. Plans. He doesn't have nothing to harm us. Whenever we go to the trial tribulation, is to build us up. To depends which area you're going to work for God. Sometimes it depends. And just for example, in a healing ministry, he has to go into the healing. Probably you're facing some sickness, or your family, to get to that, to train you, that you become strong in that you become comfortable. So it's what he does. And it tells Jeremiah that the plans is not to harm him in any way, but to prosper. To prosper sometimes in who we are, and to prosper in anything we do, and to give us hope and a future, if that makes sense. God is going to give us hope and a future whenever we are placed in any circumstances, and his plans are to prosper us. All right, so let me go a little bit more. This verse is a part of a letter Jeremiah wrote to the Israelites who were exiled in Babylon. They were in difficult, discouraging situation, feeling abandoned, but God tells them through Jeremiah, even here I have not forgotten you. They have to go in exile because they start getting and after forgetting about who God was, going after all idols, idolatry and all that. And idolatry is number one. Love your God. And if you make idols like figurines of all kinds of stuff and you bow to them, and that's your God, that's the first command. So you have no other, you knock the first command down. But God's plans are good. Even when life looks dark or confusing, God's plans are still in motion, and they are for your good, for you, yours and mine, ours, for our good. It gives hope in hard times. This promise came while Israel was still in captivity, and Jeremiah is writing to Israel that is in captivity. It reminds us that God is working even in the waiting. They were waiting to get back. It's sometimes you have to kind of wake up. God is still working. Future and destiny. God's intention for us includes restoration, purpose, and hope. How this applies to us, to you, to us. You are known and chosen by God before birth. This is so huge, guys. You are known and chosen by God before you born, before birth. God knows you and he chose you. Your calling may feel intimidating, but God will be with you and empower you. You are intimidated because think about Jeremiah. It's just, I say, I don't know how old was he, but he's just a child. He says so. He was intimidated to go on to tell like grown people, what to do and what God has for them. Even if you feel like you are in Babylon season, like exile, confusion, hardship, sometimes you are in that kind of season that you don't know how to get out, and the enemy locks you in the like more like an exile there. It gives you confusion and hardship. God plans is still active and your future is not lost. No. These passages remind you and me, us, to all of us, to trust the process, even the path isn't clear yet. God sees in full picture. God sees in advance. God knows in advance. Just trust God in everything because nothing is lost. It's a process. I said sometimes we have to go to the class, in God's class, in order to become who He wants us to become. And that takes steps and seasons. All right. I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoy it. Till next time, I say goodbye. Goodbye now.